Hall of Famer Warren Moon, who dials into the program right now. Warren, clearly you've seen a lot. Where does this one rank for you?
Steve wasn't very excited about the game yesterday, was he?
No, I mean, well, listen, that was quite something to behold. Everybody was getting off their couches wherever they were, or in Wisconsin from their couch throwing something at the television set. Where does this rank in terms of things that you've seen personally, Warren?
Well, I've been involved on the other side
Yes.
where, I've been involved in the biggest comeback. So I know how that football team felt by Green Bay in that locker room so close to victory. And I've seen this football team do some miraculous things, and nothing more miraculous than what they did yesterday. That was a crazy football game. I don't know. I think everybody was really confident that we were going to win this game coming in, but turn the football over so many times, and I felt like that was the only way that we could lose this game was to turn the football over a bunch, because we don't really do that very much. But look what happened. We turned it over 5 times, still win. Crazy, crazy, crazy day.
Yeah, it's the first time since the 72 Dallas Cowboys that a team that turned it over 5 times and also gave up 5 sacks, won a playoff game. I'm with Warren Moon, an analyst for Seahawks Radio Network, Hall of Fame quarterback on the Rich Eisen Show. So how did you see Russell Wilson's performance from your Hall of Fame quarterback eyes, Warren?
Well, he definitely wasn't as sharp as you'd like him to be, but his receivers didn't help him out either. A couple of those interceptions were balls that were tipped up in the air by his receivers that hit him right in the hand. So he can't catch it as well. But I think if you had to talk about it early in the ballgame, he wasn't as sharp as you want him to be. They played a lot of man-for-man coverage. They felt like they could lock up on our receivers man-for-man. They did a pretty good job for most of the ballgame, especially on the shorter routes. But as we started to run deeper routes down the football field later in the game, they had a tough time stopping those, and that's where we started to exploit them in the secondary. And I think our offense, which we always do, just tend to wear people down in the second half. And we ran the ball for almost 200 yards in the ball game. We had almost 400 yards of total offense. We were 50% on third down. It wasn't like they were just stopping us. We were hurting ourselves with those turnovers. But our defense did a great job of keeping us in the ball game, making them settle for field goals as opposed to touchdowns. And it was just a matter of time before we made some plays, and we finally made some.
Warren Moon here on the Rich Eisen Show. As you mentioned, you were on the wrong end of history in that playoff game in Buffalo, the Frank Reich comeback on your Houston Oilers, and I'm sure you were part of the carping and finger-pointing that no doubt takes place after tough losses. Where do you stand on Mike McCarthy's play calling and decision-making in Green Bay, Warren?
Well, I thought he could have been a little bit more aggressive, and I felt like the same way with us back then. We should have been more aggressive as we went along in the football game, both offensively and defensively. But we got away from the things that got us the big lead, and started to sit on the football and started looking at the clock as opposed to keeping the foot on the pedal to the metal, and we ended up losing the football game. And I think that's what happened at Green Bay yesterday. There was a couple of circumstances where they probably could have thrown the ball and been a little bit more aggressive. I thought on the interception return, instead of the kid falling to the ground with 4 minutes something left in the ball game, keep trying to advance that ball up the field. He had a lot of room in front of him. They could have got right back in field goal range at least. Who knows, maybe scored another touchdown to put the game away. So, yeah, they didn't play as aggressively as they probably needed to down the stretch. They were trying to protect the lead as opposed to trying to win the football game. They came back and bit them.
Yeah, I mean, it is just – I don't know about not going for it in the first quarter. I mean, you got to get points when you're on the road in the playoffs, especially since you've seen it there too, Warren. There's 2 things that get the 12s riled up. It's a Marshawn Lynch play, a run, or a defensive play, right? So you don't want to come up short on the goal line, even though obviously you're giving Russell Wilson 99 yards to have to go. I don't have an issue there. Where do you think? Is that where you think they should have been more aggressive, or you're talking about in the fourth quarter?
I have no issue. I have no issue with what they did early in the ball game. Like you said, you're on the road. You're in a hostile environment. You got to take those points early in the ball game, and that gives you momentum, and it quiets that crowd down and gets you a lead in the football game and gives you some confidence. But it was later in the football game where you need to win it. In those last 3 or 4 minutes, that's where your 4-minute offense comes into play. That's where, like I said, after the interception, instead of them trying to advance the ball, they're down in it like there's seconds left in the ball game. There was still a lot of time left in that ball game. keep trying to be aggressive, returning that football back. It was just little things like that I thought could have been different in the ball game as far as being more aggressive. But early in the ball game, you take those points because you don't lose the football in the first quarter. You don't lose the ball down the stretch. Lose the game down the stretch, and that's where they lost the football game, down the stretch.
Warren Moon, Hall of Famer, joining me here. Obviously after this Super Bowl, the Marshawn Lynch future in Seattle is going to be a storyline. And Dion hit this on Game Day Final last night. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up here is it does play into whatever's going on in the locker room right now. And I want to play for you. Here's what he said about paying Marshawn Lynch after the victory yesterday.
Russell Wilson is getting ready to be handsomely paid, and he should.
Highest paid.
Highest paid.
Yep, that's what they say.
And he was severely inconsistent today. Horrible. Marshawn Lynch has been the most consistent thing on that team. Russell Wilson is your face of your franchise. Marshawn Lynch is the heart of your franchise.
Boy.
If you want to tear up that locker room, give Russell Wilson 120, 130 million and don't do nothing for Marshawn Lynch.
Where do you think about that, Warren, that the locker room would be torn up if that's what the Seattle Seahawks did?
I don't think they'd be torn up because they kind of understand the situation as it is now. They've kind of seen this play out over the last year or so. So they understand the business of what the Seahawks are dealing with. They understand Marshawn's side of it as well. All those guys are going to be up for contracts or just got contracts done. There's no question he's a big part of this football team. The big question is how long can he keep playing at this level? And you know how running backs are. You get to a certain age, it fall off the cliff very quickly. And that's the thing the Seahawks have to try and engage and manage. How much longer do you give him to play? How long a contract do you give him as far as years are concerned? Or do you just keep bumping him every year and giving him more money to stay on the football team? So I think that's what John Snyder and Carroll are trying to balance right now.
Warren, I appreciate the time. If we can call you throughout maybe later on this week or maybe next week to talk specifically about the matchup with the Patriots, I'd love it.
I'd love to do it as well, Rich. I always enjoy talking to you and look forward to it.
Thank you. That's Warren Moon, Hall of Famer.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.